You never look better. Good afternoon. And thank you very much for being here today. I know you've had a lot to cover in the past couple of weeks. I'm State Representative Marguerite Quinn. I represent the 143rd Legislative District, which is located in Bucks County. I'm really pleased to be joined by you and by my colleagues, most of whom, in fact, I think all of whom, with whom I serve on the Appropriations Committee. As you know, for the past 3 weeks, we've been focused on Governor Tom Wolf's budget proposal. We've had the opportunity to ask detailed questions regarding this proposed spending, the consolidation plans, and policy issues for almost every agency in government. We've read and we've heard about proposed recommendations from the McKinsey report, consultants hired to recommend changes to streamline our government processes for efficiencies and cost savings. We're here today to announce the launch of SEAS, which stands for State Employees Achieving Savings. This is a basic, common-sense approach to find savings from our own experts, our dedicated state employees. These dedicated state workers who are often the face of the Commonwealth, they're people who interact with the public, who know inside and out our state government processes. They work with our IT systems. They know how we could be saving money and how our employees could be working more efficiently. Like in any business, our workforce is among our greatest assets. We can't overlook the fact that there are experts in the field and that as taxpayers themselves, they too have a keen interest in what's best for Pennsylvania. The state workers see every day what the state can do not only to cut costs, but how employees can improve their performance, even their morale. They're in the best position to think of ways that Pennsylvania can innovate. And their input, even in small increments, when multiplied over and over and over again throughout the Commonwealth, it could turn into real savings. And we've seen that on other levels of government, and even here in parts of our government. We heard during our budget hearings that Secretary of DCNR, Cindy Dunn, has an employee input function that she's implemented. Back in 2011, PennDOT put something in place, and Secretary Leslie Richards had a press conference this past May speaking about savings that come just from the employees. So we've put together a website, our SEAS website, and you could access it, is it coming up here? By going on to www.pabudget.com/report.aspx. I forget what that stands for. But the website is here to allow state employees, either anonymously or by giving their information, to give us their ideas. We want to hear them. We've heard from the level of experts at agency heads, but not from those from the ground up. Obviously, we're facing a substantial budget deficit, and I think it's important for us to look at everything we could do to try and close this. I could go on and on right now, but fearing that red button I've become accustomed to, I'm going to take a step aside and introduce our Appropriations Chairman, Stan Saylor.
Thanks, Marguerite. I want to thank Marguerite, Representative Quinn, for doing an outstanding job. She came with this idea about creating this website, and so her initiative and that we have this up and running is all due to her, and I want to thank her for the job she's been doing. And as all of you all know, that we have a great hurdle here in Pennsylvania for the 2017-18 budget, and with that, I think Marguerite's idea of giving our employees in Pennsylvania an opportunity to have input into the budget process for ideas that we've talked about, restructuring of state government, and starting anew for our 21st century. The website will help us to achieve our goals of improving state government efficiencies and utilizing all the expertise that we have from our state workforce. As legislators, as Marguerite said, we hear from our state agency heads all the time. But it's important to have a voice for all those who are involved in the process. We hear from our taxpayers back home, and now it's important for the employees to have their input as well. So I don't believe there's any idea that we may receive from this website that is too small to achieve. Every dollar adds up to savings for us where we can spend or cut our spending or our taxes in Pennsylvania for our taxpayers. So I look forward to, as chairman of the Appropriations Committee, using the information we have to help us craft a budget that serves the needs of Pennsylvania taxpayers. And again, thanks, Marguerite, for all the hard work you've done in putting this together. Thank you.
Thanks, Stan. I'd love to say that this is original, but as I got into this and talking to my colleague and friend Cheryl Delosier, she was like, yeah, we've done that before. So Cheryl, why don't you talk about what was done under the Ridge administration?
Been there, done that. Good to tell you. Thank you. I had the honor of being asked just to talk a little bit about what has been done. And we all know that as new administrations come in, most of them will put their own spin on anything that's going on in state government. But priorities have always been looking for ways to save dollars. Governor Ridge and Governor Schweiker were not any different in that regard. Governor Rendell, Governor Wolf, they've all done a twist on that, but they all had a different priority when they did it. And so, real quickly, you know, Governor Ridge came in and on the campaign promise to reinvent state government. First thing he did was the Impact Commission. That was done, but at the resolution in the State House. And the reason that it became important was because we had 16 task forces of private business people came into the state, and I was lucky enough to be able to be the executive director of that and work with all of the state agencies. So the ability for us to transition that report, the governor said, this is not a report that's just going to sit on the shelf. So this report was then transferred, and he handed it off to then Lieutenant Governor Schweiker. We had the great opportunity of working with Governor Schweiker. He was very excited about it, and as Representative Quinn mentioned, the employees know where, as they used to say, the bodies are buried. So they know what's been tried before, they know where they've been before, and they know what suggestions will work. And Governor Schweiker, that's what he did. He went right into the employees. He would host town hall meetings. And the employees didn't quite know what to make of it, because we would have every single employee in an agency in one room, in a cafeteria, in a large room within the agency. And Governor Schweiker would be the one that would host this town meeting, and he would mandate that every secretary and every deputy secretary be there to hear the input of the employees. He would run these town halls, and he would walk up and down the aisles, and he'd put people on the spot asking for what their suggestions were. The employees hadn't had that happen to them before. Most of them had never met a lieutenant governor, nor did they know who the lieutenant governor was. But Governor Schweiker kind of got a kick out of that part, but the end result was still a matter of putting that employee as the suggester, putting that employee's experience as the priority. And that's why I think that the Prime Initiative worked so well, was because it was from the employees. And these employees have been there for 20 years and told the governor time and time again they'd never been asked their opinion. So this is why I think what's so important about what Representative Quinn is doing. She's putting that focus back on the employee and back on the person that's doing the job for us and the taxpayers every single day. And we were lucky enough, as we evolved over Prime, to save over $500 million. We were able to put that back into government operations and be able to make sure that the employee suggestions came to fruition. And so this website, I think, is along the same lines. Like I said, there's been other programs out there, but the priority in many of them have been different. This one is bringing it back to the employee and saying to the employee, we value your opinion, we value the work you do. Now we want your suggestions as to how we should save money. They have great ideas, and the more that we ask them for those ideas, the better off we will be, and the taxpayer as well. So I'm glad to be able to share that, and good luck.
Well, any luck for this program is savings for the state, so we're really hopeful for it. What I failed to mention is when you go on the www.pabudget.com site, there's going to be a banner. You just click on the banner and it'll bring you right to this site. It's pretty simple. Jim Christiana is no stranger to innovative ideas for be it transparency or cost savings in the Commonwealth. So Jim, you want to step?
Thank you. Thank you, Representative Quinn, for giving me this opportunity and for your leadership. As legislators are trying to put us on a path to solvency and bring fiscal sanity to the state budget, we are all trying to create solutions and find solutions that will help right-size this state budget. What I think Representative Quinn is doing today is she's creating a forum that will give a voice and a microphone to employees to allow them to essentially to testify to anyone in Pennsylvania their ideas about where we can save money. I think this is a common sense, practical, no-brainer of a solution that that will result in direct savings to the taxpayers, will allow us to reprioritize state spending to more high-priority initiatives, and will allow better investment and better performance outcomes of the taxpayer dollars. Unfortunately, we don't have this in place today, but with Representative Quinn's leadership and exposure of the fact that this is not in place will allow us to put it in place. I will challenge anyone to find one good reason why this should not be put in place. She allows for whistleblowers to have their anonymity protected, but she also allows for innovators in 67 counties and in any state agency to come up with solutions to save money. When we look at, as legislators, there's pockets of legislators all around this Capitol and the executive branch. They have their pockets of individuals looking for solutions. No better forum than the one Representative Quinn is trying to create will produce better results. She is an innovator and a common sense leader time and time again, and this is another example of how leadership and foresight will create better outcomes. And for that, I'm thankful that she's my friend and colleague and asked me to speak here. So thank you.
Thanks, Representative. The goal here is not to limit this to state employees. Our retirees are a wealth of knowledge, and many of them have 30-plus years in. My colleague, Representative Sue Helm, lives real close to the Capitol, and so many of her constituents actually are state workers and employees. Sue?
Thank you. I would like to commend Representative Quinn on this initiative to do this. Even though you're not taking credit right now for starting it many years ago, you brought it back to life, and I think that's so important. And I do represent the 104th District, which is Dauphin and Lebanon County, and I do have a lot of employees that are right here at the Capitol, and also retired state employees. So this is giving them the opportunity to express their opinions, tell us how we can make things better, and I challenge them. I'm asking them to take advantage of this program. And the retirees that are sitting home watching this today, please think when you were back here working, how we could have made things more efficient and what we can do today, and take advantage of this. Go on the website, give us your ideas, and it does give a place to list your name. If you want to, great, we'd love to have that so we can get back in touch with you. If not, we want your anonymous suggestions so that we can continue with this. But I've been in private industry. I also employed many years and have my own business, and I know how it is, how important it is, because the people that work for us generally know a lot of ways that we can save money and different things that we can do. So we're looking forward to that. I've also always thought that, it's always best to have people that are more intelligent than you when you're an employer. So I challenge those people now, because we know a lot of people know things. Please come up with the ideas. We're looking forward to how to save everyone money, the taxpayers, and we just appreciate your help with this project, and also with Marguerite Quinn. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Helm. Representative Santorum's only in his second term here, and one of the beauties of being newer or less in seniority is that you're coming straight out of another industry. We respect and appreciate some of the light that Jamie brings as he sheds on, from the private sector, what could be being done here in the public sector. Jamie?
Thank you, Representative Quinn. This initiative is phenomenal, and let me tell you why. We did this all the time in the private sector. We brought our teams together to figure out where we could cut costs, where we could get savings, what we were doing right and what we were doing wrong. One of the things we hear often from many groups all over the Commonwealth, including different employee groups, is don't do things without giving us a seat at the table. This is a seat at the table, and this is a great opportunity for them to bring their ideas to the forefront, right to the Appropriations Committee so that we can try to act on them sooner than later. Instead of talking about it for years and doing studies, maybe we can take some of these initiatives and put them right into the 17-18 budget and see those savings immediately. We've got to start thinking different as a government and stop thinking 5-10 years down the road because we keep kicking the can. We got to push it right away. 17-18, that's the objective. I invite all the state employees, the retirees, to come and sit at the table. Go on that website, give us your ideas. If you're okay with it, share your name so that we can have back and forth conversation. We're not out to expose you, we're out to get your ideas. We're interested in what you have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. You're next going to hear from someone who we hear from often, and his role as legislator. But we didn't hear much from him in his role, his previous role as a state employee. Representative Jerry Knowles.
I think there was a compliment in there somewhere. I'm not quite sure, but I'll keep looking. But no, in all seriousness, I want to commend Representative Quinn for this initiative. I've been around this place for a while, and as a staffer, as well as a state representative, and the word that jumps out at me is inclusiveness. I mean, this is the first time I have been on the Appropriations Committee this session, and I'm very impressed by the inclusiveness, whether it be hearing from members of the Appropriations Committee or subcommittees of the Appropriations Committee, or whether it be hearing from standing committees regarding what we should and should not have in this budget. And I commend Marguerite for taking it one step further. I really do. I think this is an opportunity for anyone who is a state employee or has been a state employee to hear from them, and we're very interested in that. And the chairman, I want to thank you for the job that you're doing, and Marguerite, thank you for coming forward with this initiative.
Well, you've heard it, basically. www.p8budget.com and look for the banner of C's, State Employees Achieving Savings. You know, it's really nice to hear all these accolades from my colleagues, but without the input from our valuable state employees and retirees, this is going to be an empty website. So I appreciate in advance the input that we're going to get, the ideas, and working with you to find how to close this budget deficit. Thank you very much. And thanks all for joining me. Yes, Dennis.
Can we do some questions?
Absolutely.
Tell me, who's on the other end of the, so somebody puts a suggestion, who's on the other end reading them and vetting them, and are you going to have people assigned to that?
It's assigned, it's in the Appropriations Committee, the Republican Appropriations Committee. We will all have banners on our websites if we choose to, as well, so they could click in just through our websites, but we did not want the suggestions going to everywhere. We wanted one central location.
You have Democratic support too? I mean, it seems like a common sense idea that there will probably be some.
I'm sure they will be. I'm hopeful for it. It was really a matter of being in budget hearings so much that I just didn't expand to beyond at that point. But this is, it's a nonpartisan idea. It's, you know, a dollar's a dollar, whether it's an R or a D dollar.
And just your thoughts on the fact that the Wolf administration did spend money on that outside firm to look for cost savings. I think it was $1.8 million.
Well, I think the answer on that is going to be, do we recover the cost savings and how many times over by implementing them? If it's a $1.8 million report that sits on a shelf and it's going to get dusted off in a couple of years, well, you know, that's obvious. That's not a good savings. But if it was looking at outsiders to see, you know, I'm not going to disparage the effort until I see what savings it brings to the table. Yes?
Is there any mechanism to make sure that it's only state employees who are making suggestions?
No. And the fact is, if someone comes up, you know, like get Quinn out of office and save whatever, you know, they're entitled to their opinion. But, you know, there could be someone else who has something. We didn't want to screen so much that someone said, uh-oh, they're going to be out to get me and they're going to track me. Just wanted to, you know, have a forum whereby people could submit their ideas.
Is there any way that the results from this will be made public in a report or anything eventually?
Depends on what we get in. You know, obviously, if we get some cost-saving ideas, we're going to act on them, and in that way, it's going to be a public act. I'd love to see that the next press conference we have on this subject is going to be like, oh my gosh, we're overwhelmed by what we got, and here are some of the best ideas. You know, if it totally flops, you know, I won't have any. But I really believe that we have got ideas and people know better. They know what can be done from the ground up. That's it. Thank you very much.
Good job, Margaret.